Batman theme? That would have been witty. There's a book out called Going Mutant, The Bat Boy Exposed. And go back a few years, and I think it was back in the early 90s, when on the cover of the Weekly World News, which has almost been my exclusive source for news and world events, Bat Boy graced the cover for the first time. Then we saw him in the White House. Then we saw him actually make his own political runs in California, I believe. And going back to trace its origins, we have a visit with Dr. Barry Lead, who has penned a book called Going Mutant, The Bat Boy Exposed, and it tells that whole story. Doctor, welcome to the broadcast.
Well, John, I just want to say thank you for having me on KMOX tonight, and I apologize I can't be in St. Louis, but my publisher, Simon & Schuster, was not able to pay for a security detail. Bat Boy's not happy about this biography that's been published. It's burst a lot of bubbles about his privacy, and without a guarantee of safe passage to St. Louis, I had to stay sequestered here in my studio, which is in the West Virginia area.
You can tell he's a doctor because he uses words like sequestered.
It's a remote location, and it's safe, and it should keep me, at least for the next few minutes, while talking to you, away from Bat Boy.
So the Weekly World News, which really kind of elevated Bat Boy to mythical proportions, not that he wouldn't have done that on stupid pet tricks on Letterman or something, but the Weekly World News even around anymore?
They are around. I would say they don't make for an ideal partner. They're not the most scrupulous people in the world, and they had agreed to fund some of my research and apparently started chasing another story in the midst of one of my discoveries, and they became difficult to deal with. So I'm actually talking to other sponsors going forward for my Bat Boy research. I'm talking to more reputable organizations like the Sloan Institute or Guggenheim Foundation. I'm also talking to Acorn as well.
All right, let's go back to the beginning when you found Bat Boy. What were you looking for, or were you even looking for anything?
Bat Boy, the Bat Boy was first discovered in '92 by my former mentor, Dr. Ron Dillon.
Oh, I thought you were part of that expedition.
I was at that point. I was no, that was in '92. I was studying for my Ph.D. as a research candidate at the time, and Dillon essentially stumbled onto Bat Boy. He was in southeastern West Virginia, where the Shenandoah Range meets the Appalachians, and he was about 2 miles underground in a cave when he heard a faint squeal. And Bat Boy had been trapped in a rock. His foot had been trapped in a rock. They brought him back up. And it was at that time I had just gotten acceptance into the Ph.D. program at the University of Indianapolis for mutant bat studies. And that's when I first met Bat Boy.
Half human, half bat, and we've all seen the pictures. I'm sure it's just coincidence that they came out around the time of Adobe Photoshop. But talk about that first face-to-face experience. Well, I would not be able to stop screaming, I don't think.
The first thing that you have to understand about bats is they make a very loud sound. They use the sound. It's a squeal, and it can reach as high as 140 hertz. And the decibel reading on that is enough to cause permanent hearing damage. So when I first was able to glimpse Bat Boy when he was captured, I had earplugs on. Obviously, any creature that lives underground. I think you'll be doing something on the Chilean miners. These people had to be shielded from sunlight. The same thing in Bat Boy's case. No lights could be brought anywhere near him. The merest, pen light would set him off, and you don't want to set him off. He is, at that time, was stronger than an ox on steroids. Just a very muscular being.
He obviously has gone on to learn some communication skills. I remember seeing other stories where he had come out and endorsed Al Gore for president. He endorsed John McCain at one point for president. And back in 2003, ran for the governor of California position. So obviously he figured out some way to let people know what he had in mind.
Well, and one of the things we uncovered now is, and this is when we found his most recent cave in West Virginia, is that he's actually planning a run for governor of West Virginia as an independent. Of course, he's seen, I think, what endorsing Al Gore can do for him, which was not a lot. And subsequently, after endorsing Al Gore, he did maul a girl in Orlando, Florida, a 12-year-old girl who was, had to be taken to the hospital to receive numerous stitches. So he's now decided to go independent. I think he's going to wait and see what happens here in West Virginia in the next few weeks, and then probably announce his candidacy. It doesn't appear, from what we saw in the cave, that he has any real understanding of the American political system. I mean, certainly not the Electoral College. I don't think he gets how that works. But, elected office is definitely something that's been on his radar.
The mystery that is Bat Boy, unraveled and exposed. It's called Going Mutant. The Bat Boy Exposed. Dr. Barry Lee joins us on the program. And if you don't know who Bat Boy is, you never stood in line at the supermarket. Because not only did he grace the cover back in the early 90s, but showed up on several other occasions, including, was there not a shot of Bat Boy mugging up with Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and several others, Dr. Barry Lee?
He's certainly been on the political landscape, throughout his tenure since his finding. One of his, at one point he went down to Argentina when their economy collapsed. He was on the scene there and was kind of working behind the scenes to try and restore some stability to their economy.
But, we got TMZ and the whole culture that is the paparazzi. Why is Bat Boy not captured more in the L.A. club scene or at an airport or at the grocery store? He's got to go out.
He was just spotted on Capitol Hill last week. He is, in fleeting glimpses, he is captured. But he first of all, he shuns daylight, and I think that's one thing that makes it hard for people to track him. And he travels. He's got to be very careful with the advent of wind farms. It makes it very dangerous for him to move around. So he's taken even more caution in the way he travels and the way he flies.
I was going to ask you about how he gets around. Does he fly like a bat? Because I've only seen his face.
He has vestigial wings that shed, from what we could tell in observation in the lab, roughly every 4 to 6 months.
How long did you have him in the lab to study?
Unfortunately, we didn't have him that long. We had him for about a 3-month period in '92 when I started as a research assistant there, and he flew the coop. There was a night janitor that Bat Boy was able to trick, and he escaped. A gentleman named Sayer Schming was working as a janitor at that time.
I'm sure. I'm thrilled. I'm sure he's thrilled that his name's going down in history as being the trick janitor.
It was later revealed in a subsequent court case that Schming was actually a sadist, and he apparently had gone into Bat Boy's cell after dark and tried to torture him. For what purpose, we couldn't really determine.
Are there more?
That was certainly what Dr. Dillon always theorized, and as he said to me when I was a young research candidate, before he was ultimately mauled, he said, you find one mutant and you get your name in the paper, you find a whole race of mutants and you're Charlie friggin' Darwin. I think that's true. You gotta, if you can get proof, and that was always what he was looking for, was proof of an entire subterranean race. And we came very close. We haven't proved that yet, but what we did find in this book is that Bat Boy, we got his girlfriend to squeal. That was important.
It's for all of us, really.
Well, both Bat Boy and his girlfriend Betty Barnett, who really was the one who took us to his current location. They're very sympathetic creatures. They both come from a place of pain. I mean, Bat Boy, he was confined for those periods, and that was where his pain came from. And in Betty Barnett's case, she was from West Virginia, and about 14 of her immediate male relatives were all killed in mining disasters and various mining collapses. So these were two sympathetic creatures kind of drawn together and living in a remote location in West Virginia.
So much to this story. The book, Going Mutant, The Bat Boy Exposed, certainly one of the most recognizable faces in the world, yet we probably know less about him than anyone else. And Dr. Barry Lee painting that picture in book form. And we got to go, but I'll tell you what, I would love to have you back. So many other things to talk about here, Doc. I appreciate the time, and give our best to Charlie freaking Darwin, will you?
We will do that, John. Thank you for having me on KMOX.